Hi, this is Teen Title Talk with Erin
and Alyssa.
And we're going to talk about some teen books that are in the Derry Public Library. I will talk about Being Jazz, My Life as a Transgender Teen.
And I will talk about A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas.
Nice. Should I go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go first.
So, this is a memoir about Jazz Jennings.
I've heard of her.
I had, but I didn't know her story in detail. I knew that she
Right.
was an advocate for transgender teens,
Because
transgender
she is a
people,
transgender
but in
teen.
transgender people in general. But I didn't know her full story, and
Right.
it's so good. It is so good.
Is it good and it'll break your heart, or is it
No,
good
it's
and
good.
it's really inspiring?
It's inspiring and hopeful,
Okay.
and she is smartest. Okay, so that makes it super readable and super accessible.
Right.
So it's written by Jazz, and it's her memoir. So you're along with her. Her voice is totally easy to connect with, and she talks about growing up. At first, she was, she and anatomically she's a boy, but she always felt like a girl.
Okay.
So
it goes through her struggle trying to define who she is and express her
and then
identity properly.
and to transition. So it goes through I was a girl trapped in a boy's body, and then how I kind of worked on expressing that I felt like a girl, and then how my family reacted, and they were super supportive.
That's
for the most part.
Yeah.
Worried a little bit about how others would react, so there was that
Right.
protective aspect.
Naturally.
And then basically transitioning to okay, the first time she talked about the first time she wears a dress in public, and picking out which one that was going to be, and how she talks with people about which pronouns she wanted to have, so that
Right.
how they were able to take time to get used to that.
Right.
And then
That
later
sounds
she
so
talked.
complicated.
It is, but
I can't
she's
imagine.
she's full of grace. That's the thing. So she just is and then they did it really well. She's so nice. Even if people slip up
It's
with
so
a pronoun,
humbling,
then she's just they were so nice, or they didn't really understand. She leads with love, which she talks about. So
nice.
later on she talks about hormone blockers and that kind of thing.
That's
But
intense.
yeah, it is, but it's really informative, and she talks about her advocacy. So her advocacy is all about leading with love.
Huge advocate.
Yeah, and she's very direct, which I think is great.
Right.
But she's also very open and warm-hearted, which is amazing, and that's why you want to read the book.
Right. Plus, she has multiple avenues where she can voice her message.
Right, so she has a YouTube channel where
Right.
she'll answer questions and do different clips. She has a top 10 things to know about transgender.
I think the first time I heard about her was on TLC.
Okay.
A commercial for the show that she has on TLC.
Right, because she said in here, because I haven't seen the TLC show, but she said that the reason they wanted to do that show was to just for representation and exposure, to help people understand the normalcy
I don't know if it's ever
in
been
their
done
family.
before.
I don't think so. And so that was a big thing. And she said it was awkward to have the cameras around all the time, but she kind of got used to it. Which you can
It's
understand.
awkward to have this camera on right now.
Right,
so.
I totally understand. So one of the things my favorite thing about this is, the whole thing is great, and you're going to be absorbed. But her grandparents write letters to her in the back.
I can't.
There's
I can't with that.
I know, there's a question and answer. I was weeping. There's a question and answer from her. So people asked her family members questions to just things
Right.
what have been the best surprises about the journey? What do you think about ongoing legal battles fought by other transgender families and the way their schools and peers have reacted?
It's a huge issue right now.
Right. And so it addresses it, but the heartfelt stuff is a letter from Grandpa Jack and a letter from Grandma Jackie. And at first you're you can see you see it from their view as oh, this baby boy was born, and then okay, this is a little different, and people reacting, and there's that protective feeling. They are so supportive, and you will cry. You will cry.
I don't want to cry,
ends there.
Erin.
Oh, it's so good.
I don't want to cry.
It is so good. So I think it's really informative, and it's really heart-wrenching, and it's really well written, and so yeah, you should read it.
Oprah blurbed it.
Oprah blurbed. Yeah,
Listen
she said
to Oprah.
Jazz Jennings is one of the youngest champions of transgender equality. Oh yeah, she's won 1 million awards.
Right.
She's won 1 million awards.
whatever.
You should definitely read this book.
Okay.
All
You've
right.
convinced me.
Good. Read it.
I hope we've convinced you.
What do you have?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to be as concise as humanly possible. This is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is my favorite book series ever.
Yes.
By my favorite author.
She recommends it to everybody.
I do. I recommend it to everyone. I'm going to recommend it to you too before I even explain what it's about. But this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling with fairies. It's a fantasy series. It's YA. It's, I would say, new adult YA. It's
It's
got some
upper
mature,
YA for sure.
It's got some mature
Yeah.
content. So
Yeah.
trigger warning for that sexual content in here. If you're not into that or don't respect that or don't want it at all in your life. But it's not really that bad or big of a deal. But
It's not bad. It's not that bad.
it doesn't affect the story, which is what's most important. So,
You could skip over it if you wanted.
Exactly.
Very good.
So this book follows. I'm blocking my face a lot.
You are. That's all right, though.
This book
Good.
it starts off introducing us to our girl Feyre. She is a huntress who lives with her family in the outskirts of the forest, and they have been forced into some hard times. Their father used to be a really wealthy merchant, but he lost a bet and has lost all their fortune. So now they're forced to live in squalor, which is great. And Feyre is the only competent one among them, so she has been forced to hunt for the family to provide them with food, because everyone else is useless or angry and bitter. So that's great. So
She's like Katniss.
she is like Katniss, very strong parallels to Katniss here, because she does use bow and arrow quite a bit. So while she's on one of these outings with her bow and arrow, she accidentally / on purpose kills a wolf, which is actually a fairy, because that wolf was going after a deer that she needed to feed her family. So she decided to kill the wolf so that he wouldn't kill the deer, and in doing that killed a fairy from over the wall where she lives, really close to it. So because she killed a fairy, she
is a prisoner.
Right. The High Lord of that fairy's court from the other side of the wall comes to seek retribution for his friend's death and takes Feyre as payment for that debt. She willingly goes with him to save her family. She doesn't expect to ever come back or see them again, so she enters the fairy realm, which humans have feared for centuries, because fairies have always been thought of as evil and terrifying beings. So she's scared, but she's also brave, and she's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to save my family. And then she enters the spring court, and it's perpetually spring all the time here in the spring court, which is right over the wall. So that's the nearest court to where she lives. So she enters the spring court. Tamlin's the High Lord of the spring court. And there's been a curse placed over his lands, and Feyre has to help him. Yes. Feyre has to help him figure out how to break the curse without knowing what the curse means or entails or anything like that, which is great and really helpful. So that happens. If you know the story of Beauty and the Beast, you basically know the basic plot of this book.
Yeah, but it's different.
But it's so much bigger than that, and the ending will make you scream and laugh and cry and everything. It's great. She just twists it into a beautiful thing, and I love it, and it's
and
so
how
worth
many
reading.
books in the...
There's 3 books in this series.
Trilogy.
I'll be probably doing a review on each one.
Okay, cool.
Eventually, but I highly recommend it. Cannot recommend it enough. Please read this. Fangirl with me. Love it. Hate it. Whatever.
Thank you. Also read this.
Yeah, read that too.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
Bye.